stand in support of it. Thank you.
I understand the next call is a split call. I'll ring the bell with a minute to go. Charles Chabelle.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I listened to that contribution carefully, and the previous speaker accused fellow members of the House of engaging in political spin. He then went on to talk in critical terms about one of those members who had spoken about the burglary rate. I want to say one thing to that member who's resumed his seat. As members opposite know, or ought to know, the burglary clearance rate in this country is below 25%. That means that if somebody commits a burglary in this country now, they are much more likely to get away with it than not. And the effect of a burglary on a person is horrible. They feel violated because their home has been invaded. There's statistics that show that an older person who suffers a burglary ends up with a greater chance of an early death because they feel that sense of violation. And it's all very well for Mark Mitchell to indicate that he agrees with what I'm saying. What I am actually saying is the single biggest thing that members opposite in the government could do to improve public safety is get that burglary clearance rate up by making sure that the police have the resources to do their job. And if we saw proper community policing in this country, and ideas like those that were contained in one of the documents put out by my colleague during the last election campaign, that showed how you would extend police resources in areas like burglary clearance. So what you might do is get civilian staff in to assist once the complaint had been made, to do the fingerprinting, to do the work, the investigative work that you might be able to spare a uniform for, and then deliver the file to the uniformed constable so they could actually follow it up. You might do something about that pathetic burglary rate clearance, and then you might stop escalation from burglary to more serious crime. All the things that that member spoke about piously in respect of the law and order debate, but which this government is doing nothing about. Those are the things that we need to see action in law and order on if we want to see an actual improvement in public safety levels in this country. Not more and more legislation that sounds good on talkback radio and allows ministers to talk tough on law and order, but when you actually weigh the consequences of that legislation, it is found to be wanting. And I want to say this about this bill. I have been very concerned about bail laws. I have been concerned to know about the sort of risk assessment that is applied by the judges when they go through the exercise of granting bail. And so I've been putting a series of written questions to the Minister of Justice in particular, but also to her colleagues. Now, here's a summary of the answers received to those questions. In the year 2009, there were only 4% of offenders who refused to answer bail. In that year, those between the ages of 17 and 19 who failed to answer bail, only 5%. Only one conviction for murder was obtained, Mr Speaker, in 2009 from somebody on bail, and only one again the following year. So the previous member and his colleagues can read the notes from the research unit that they have on cases anecdotally as much as they like. Yes, we will support this bill going to Select Committee. Yes, we want to see the very best bail system available in this country. But let's not have pious speeches about law and order. Let's see some real action based on evidence for a change, because that's what New Zealanders really want.
I call Julianne Genter.